Good morning and welcome to Knuckle Sandwich MMA. I don't know if I'm on yet. It says I'm preparing, so I'm going to keep talking till I know for sure. There we go. Okay, so welcome to Knuckle Sandwich MMA. Our motto here at the Knuckle Sandwich MMA is seize the opportunity. So, and it looked like plenty of newcomers and late replacements did just that. They seized the opportunity. And what a fight card it was, guys. Man, I don't know. They just seem to keep getting better and better and better. A lot of people were naysayers on this card, didn't think it was going to be very exciting, didn't think there was, they couldn't figure out why Waterson and Hill were the main event after Santos and Sajira fell off. But it ended up being a spectacular card. And I'm telling you guys, the UFC fighters, these athletes, they want to perform. They are looking. And, I've been watching a lot of post-fight interviews and just listening to all the comments. And it's interesting because Dana White, he keeps commenting on this, and hopefully all the fighters will hear him out and listen. But he keeps saying, I love the kids that keep wanting to fight again. Put me on next week. I mean, they just want to keep going and going and going. And so through this pandemic, the whole fight game has changed. I mean, you can see the UFC. I'm a boxing fan myself, but you can see the UFC is completely overshadowing the boxing world because of the many events that they're putting on. I mean, just almost every week, it seems like, they'll miss a week here or there, but man, there have so many events going on. And all you hear about is lawsuits in boxing with Canelo and not fights not happening that much. And but the UFC is seizing the opportunity. Hence the motto of Knuckle Sandwich MMA. They're seizing the opportunity, and you got to give them credit for that. You just have to, including all the fighters. They're seeing more fights. If they want to fight and they're healthy, he's putting them on as many as he can. So I'm just super impressed with how the attitude is. And again, with this pandemic and with the way things, the world is changing. It is changing, and people are adapting. And if you adapt, then you're more apt to find the success that you're looking for. If you fight it and fight it and fight it. And that's not to say that you capitulate on your ideals or different things like that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that seize the opportunity. If the opportunity is there, seize it. That's it in a nutshell. I don't want to get all philosophical or anything like that, but I'm just telling you, if the opportunity is there, don't let it pass you by. Don't talk yourself out of it. A lot of times, I liken it to this. When people take tests, I always, in fact, there was a young lady that I was talking to, and she was getting ready to take her ACT tests. And I said, do me a favor. Here's my advice to you. Go with your gut instinct. Go with your first answer. Don't go back and second guess yourself and then change an answer, because most times it was correct and you change it to the wrong answer. And it's kind of the same thing. Seize the opportunity. Okay. If there's an opportunity presented to you, seize it. Carpe diem, seize the day, right? All right. So let's get back to the card, because man, what a card. If you like action, you're going to love this card. If you didn't see the card, go back to ESPN and watch the card, because it was spectacular. So we had Justine Quiche versus Sabina Mazzo, and that was a really good fight. It was action from the beginning to the very end. And man, what a way to kick off the card. I mean, Mazzo was a lot, she's Colombian, and she's a lot taller than Quiche. And I predicted Mazzo to win. I did pretty good on this card as far as guesses go on who was going to win and whatnot. I did miss a few, but this one, I kind of picked it, and for the reasons I'm about to tell you. If you didn't see the fight, it was a great fight. I was like more than, I don't want to say surprised. I was entertained. I was just entertained by this fight. they were throwing punches. They went at it right at the beginning bell. I mean, they were in the phone booth. They were throwing punches, throwing some heavy leather. There was a cut on Quiche's eye, and they just banged it out. And one thing that was part of Quiche's plan was she couldn't allow Mazzo to get that distance because Mazzo had a much longer reach. I think it was like a 7-inch reach or something ridiculous like that. Long legs, long arms, and Quiche was shorter and more compact. So she had to get in tight. And that's why they had those phone booth fights, because she had to get in there. But once Mazzo started to distance her and get her into the kicking range and the jab range, she was tagging her, man. But Quiche was game as all game could be. I was just like flabbergasted by the heart, the willingness, the aggressiveness, everything. This fight had it all, had all the drama and everything. And Mazzo was able to start to take control of the third round and start to pummel on Quiche. And then she got her on the ground and did a submission, a rear naked choke, and choked her. And it was tight, man. I mean, that thing was tight. She had to tap. But it was a great fight. I think both of those ladies were winners because they put on a heck of a show. So I'm just super, super excited about that. And that was the first fight of the night. Hold on a second. I got to take a drink. I'm getting pumped up here, man. And then the next fight, Brian Barbarina versus Anthony Ivey. And I called this one for Barbarina as well. But what a fight it was. Anthony Ivey was a very muscular, longer fighter. He was taller. He had a better, longer reach than Barbarina. But Barbarina was coming in after, I believe he had back surgery. So he's been out for a while. And he had a successful back surgery, came back, was hungry, wanted to be violent. And he's one of the best fighters to watch if you like action. He is really, really good at just at pounding it out. And these two guys did exactly that. I mean, Barbarina would come in with these flurries and just throw combinations, like a whole bunch of them. You know, there could be 6 combinations, boom, 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 boom. And then Ivey would back against the fence, but then he would throw this right or this left and catch Barbarina and rock him, you know. And so Barbarina would back off, and then he'd start the dance again, and he'd go back in, and they just kept doing this back and forth. Ivey is fairly new to UFC, and he gave Barbarina pretty much all he could handle. But Barbarina, he was a dog. He was a dog. He went in. They were fighting over a bone, and it was the last bone, and they just went at it, and it was another spectacular fight. And Barbarina won that by unanimous decision, and it was a correct call. There was no robbery here, but Ivey is a contender. He's a game contender, and he's here to stay. He looked really good. Barbarina looked spectacular, but he did get some shots. He took some shots on the chin, but both of those men are tough. And that was another great fight. So what a fight. And next up we have Brock Weaver versus Jalen Turner. And this one was another knockdown drag out. That Brock Weaver is one tough dude, man. I think he's on this might be his third loss in a row, second or third. But he is just so game to fight. He's not afraid of anything. He was getting rocked. He got cut up. He got busted up. But he kept coming forward, man. And very, very seldom in the 3-round fight, he backed up. And so it was just a spectacular performance by Jalen Turner. He was long. He was really long, and his jabs were pinpoint accurate, man. Everything he seemed to throw from my vantage point, he was tagging him. Even if they weren't super hard jabs, they were enough to just make you uncomfortable, to make you frustrated, to make you back up. And he had, even though Brock Weaver pushed forward, he was just jabbing, moving backward with such precision. It was just beautiful to see. Brock Weaver, again, he's a tough guy. hopefully they're going to give him another fight and, give him, I think they need to, I couldn't tell you what he could do better in his game, because this fight was, it was just so different because of the way that Turner fought. Long kicks, great front kicks, long jabs, and he just looked great. I don't think there was anything Brock could have done differently to change the outcome of this fight. He gave it his heart, and it wasn't just heart. He had a lot of skill in there. He tagged him a couple of times throughout the fight. That was significant strikes, and he's tough as nails, but I don't think there was anything that he could have done differently, to win that fight. So, but another spectacular fight. Let's move on up to Rokay Martinez versus Alexander Romanov, and Romanov. That was a really good fight too. It didn't have the tremendous action as the first three fights did, but it had a great finish to it. And it was Romanov brought a submission, a triangle choke in round two. So it was pretty early. The fight didn't last very long. 4:22 of round two, Romanov dropped a triangle choke on Martinez and had him tap out. And it was a quick fight, round and some change, but it was a very good fight as far as the outcomes. So to throw on a triangle is always a really, really good thing in the eyes of the fans and the UFC. So a great fight for Romanov, and congratulations on that win. Next one was one of the biggest upsets of the night. There were upsets to be had, and this one was the biggest because we had Roosevelt Roberts versus Kevin Croom. Kevin Croom had, I think, 1 day's notice for this fight because Roosevelt Roberts' opponent fell out, and so they tapped Kevin Croom to come in and fight. And so, needless to say, that was the disparity of the huge gap on the betting odds. And I think it was like 400 to 125 or something, minus 400 to plus, I don't know. It was just crazy. But he was the biggest. Roosevelt Roberts was the biggest favorite on the whole card. And Kevin Croom came in and he landed a left on Roosevelt Roberts' chin right on the just after the first of the bell, a few seconds into the fight. And wobbled him, man. He wobbled him. He hit him flush and wobbled him. And then he took advantage of it and took him to the ground, got him in a submission, a guillotine choke. And the way that he laced that arm and then put his hand over to cinch it down, I knew it was it. I knew that was one of the most the tightest chokes that I've ever seen. And he applied the pressure quick, and Roosevelt Roberts had to tap before he was this close to going out. But he was torquing that neck too, man. I thought, gosh, he's going to break that young man's neck. But Croom came out of nowhere, 1 day's notice, seized the opportunity. Going back to what I said at the very beginning of this podcast, seized the opportunity. Croom seized that opportunity, made the best of it. Dana White was standing on his feet, giving this guy a standing O. And what a spectacular finish. I feel bad for Roosevelt Roberts, but congratulations to Croom. And he is, they call him the toothless hillbilly or something like that. But he was super happy, very excited. He looked great on the post-fight interview. Had great things to say. Was very happy. I think he's going to fit well in the UFC, and he made a big impression with his UFC debut. All right, let's move on. Man, I'm sorry I'm going on about these fights, but they were just really good. Okay. Next one we have is Julia Avila versus Sajira Eubanks. Now, Julia Avila was the favorite in this fight to win this fight. And she's a tough girl. She's really, really tough. And Sajira Eubanks is also very tough. Now, we had a Avila was a little bit taller with a longer reach, and of course, Sajira was more compact, more muscular, a little bit thicker. Yeah, but her gas tank surprised the heck out of me. Sajira Eubanks, they went at it, and this was another one from the start, from the very start to the very end. They were going at it, but Sajira had massive advantage on the ground. She kept her on the ground long, for a good portion of the fight, and Avila just couldn't get out of it. But Sajira just wasn't simply content with just laying there and holding her down. She was punching. There was a lot of even Avila from the ground. She was throwing some punches upwards, but you're not going to get that much torque on those punches on your back. You just aren't. It doesn't work that way. But she was still fighting. She couldn't figure out the puzzle, and she couldn't get off the ground. Sajira, so she was she was also a very big underdog. She won by unanimous decision, and congratulations to her. It's good to see her win. She's been fighting for a while now. And Avila, stick with it because you look really good, but you need to develop your ground game. You got to. She's a great striker, a much better striker than Sajira, but she's got to have a ground game. If you don't have a ground game in this level of competition with the UFC, you're going to get beat. You know, unless you're counting on knocking out everybody. But once you rise in the ranks, you're not going to be knocking out everybody like that, and you're going to have a well-rounded game. You're going to have to have all the tools when you get those in those upper levels, and when you start fighting ranked opponents, you just have to have all the tools. So it's Avila, go back to the drawing board, work on that ground game, jiu-jitsu, wrestling, and get it down because I think if you're on top, you're going to do some serious ground and pound damage. And that's what you need to do, is be able to scramble out of there, get on top, and then drop some bombs. Next up, we have Kyle Nelson versus Billy Quarantilo. Oh, man. This fight was just amazing. The heart, the leather that was thrown, the absolute violence that was perpetrated in this fight was astonishing to me. Very, very wow. All I can say is wow. So I picked the wrong one on this one. I got Kyle Nelson. I picked Kyle Nelson over Billy Quarantilo, and I was wrong on that one. But not Nelson came out firing like right off the bat. And those two, they were throwing bombs within seconds. And they were just and a lot of them too. They were just going at it. They looked like rock'em sock'em robots, and they were just throwing punches left and right. And they both landed some heavy strikes. I did notice that during the second round, Nelson started to gas out a little bit, and Quarantilo started to change the momentum of the fight. Up until maybe mid second round, it was pretty even as far as strikes landed, significant strikes landed, a very even fight. And then Nelson, it looked like he had an adrenaline dump or something, because he started to gas. He was still strong and he was still firing, but then once Quarantilo saw that, he started to be a little more technical and picking his shots, and they were landing. And this Quarantilo, man, he barely had a mark on him, and it was a brutal fight. He doesn't mark up very, very easily. And Nelson, he looked like, he had been through a war. And both of them have been hit. Both of them were hit. And then Quarantilo just started to take command of the fight in the third round. And just at the beginning of the third round, he hit him and knocked him down and rocked him. And basically, it was a KO by punches. And the ref the ref did a great job on that one. He stepped in because he saw him drop, and he knew it was over. And he didn't even allow Quarantilo to throw another punch. So that was really good to step in, because that dude was out. And he was still he was still wobbly, sitting on the bar stool, on the stool. And, he was rocked for a number of minutes after that fight. So great job on the ref for getting that stopped. great job to Quarantilo. Keep an eye out for this dude, man. He is a scrapper. Keep an eye out for him. He is a scrapper. All right, next up we have Alan Patrick versus Bobby Green. I chose Bobby Green because I like Bobby Green, and I probably will always choose Bobby Green. Well, maybe. Depends on who he's facing, but Alan Patrick and Bobby Green. Alan Patrick was pretty dangerous on the ground. He's a Brazilian dude, and he was really, he's got that jiu-jitsu. And but then you have Bobby Green, who's known as a striker, right? Well, Bobby Green showed in this fight, and this one really surprised me. He showed in this fight his grappling skills, his wrestling skills. He had Patrick on the ground. There were so many scrambles in this fight, and Bobby Green ended up on top every single time. Okay, every single time Bobby Green ended up on top. It looked like I thought, oh, he's going for a guillotine. Patrick was going for a guillotine. I thought he's in trouble. And as soon as I said that, Bobby Green twisted, turned out, got on top. Next thing you know, he's dropping bombs on Patrick. And so it was just Bobby Green put on a platinum performance. Let me tell you that. Okay. And I'm not talking platinum Mike Perry. I'm talking the real platinum. Okay, that's what Bobby Green put on, and he looked good. His hands were down, and that's how he fights it. But he was ducking some punches. Now, granted, Patrick's punches were a lot slower than Bobby Green's, but he was throwing some bombs, and he was trying to knock him out. But he lost on the ground. I mean, 10-8 on the ground. If I was scoring just the ground, it was a 10-8 easy, maybe even a 10-7. But Bobby Green schooled him on the ground, schooled him on the feet. And he won by unanimous decision. He did not knock him out, but that was Patrick's one tough dude. He took a lot of punishment, though, man. Took a lot of punishment. So congratulations once again to Bobby Green. And we want to just see he's ready to fight again. That's what I love about these guys. Bobby Green's one of them. I think he's fought 3 times this year already. So good on you, man. Go out there and get that money. All right, next up we have one of the controversies, the controversy of the night, and that is Ed Herman versus Mike Rodriguez. Now, Ed Herman is a grizzled veteran, okay? Short fuse, that's what they call him, short fuse. And he was up against a newcomer from the Contender Series, Mike Rodriguez, who's long, who I think he had a knockout or two, knockout in the Contender Series. And he fought Ed Herman. So you got a newbie coming in against a grizzled veteran who's tough as nails. I mean, Ed Herman is one tough SOB. Okay, it was a one-sided fight, really, to a certain level, and this is where the controversy kind of came in. But Herman got some good shots off, but Martinez was really kind of just lighting him up. He was hitting him with some really, really good punches. Great jab. Mike Martinez has a great jab, and he was dropping some bombs. Again, though, Ed Herman's super, super tough, and he weathered the storm. And then Rodriguez started to do some kicks to the body, and he did a kick and hit Herman in the liver. And Herman, there was a delayed reaction because as soon as he kicked him, Herman paused for a minute, and then Rodriguez went in and started doing throwing some punches and some combos, and then that delayed reaction on the liver kicked in, and Herman buckled down to the ground after Rodriguez dropped a big knee into his midsection, and Herman dropped. And the ref, who was probably not in the best position, thought that because of the way that Herman dropped, and then he was just sitting against the fence, covering up like this. Well, not even all the way up. He was just like, that should have, almost ended the fight. But the ref thought it was a groin strike from Rodriguez. And he went in there and said, time, like right away, he called time. Rodriguez said, what are you calling time for? What's going on? Didn't understand what's going on because he knew he didn't hit him in the groin. But the ref thought it was. And so he gave Herman 5 minutes, and Ed Herman, being the veteran that he is, now some people are giving him a lot of criticism for taking advantage of this situation, but he did indeed take advantage of the situation, and he took the 5 minutes and got recomposed after that liver shot with the knee, and then came back up to fight the round again, to start the round again, and then to add salt to the wound, Ed Herman, they started to fight again and grapple. They got on the ground, and Ed Herman got his arm and started to twist it behind his back, and he torqued he torqued that arm almost to where I thought he was going to snap it right out of the socket of his shoulder, and he just got and he arched his back, and then Rodriguez was trying to fight it off. Then when Ed Herman put his leg over Rodriguez's head to get more leverage, that's when he tapped, and the fight was over. And so Ed Herman won this, which he probably shouldn't have. And Dana White said that was one of the worst referee calls that he's ever seen in his MMA career. He called it Mazzagatti level. So the ref blew it on that one, and Herman took advantage of it. He says, "Yeah, I'll rest. I'll take the minutes," and he milked it. Now at the end of the fight, they do the post-fight, the interview right after the fight, and they asked Herman about that. Now, one thing I do respect about him, because he's been in the game a long time, and he's taken a lot of lumps, and he's done and he's taken some great wins. But sorry, you have to forgive me. My dog is barking at somebody. But he said this. Okay, he said, "I don't know if he hit me in the stomach, if he kneed me in the stomach or he kneed me in the groin. All I know is I went down and I was dead tired." So he didn't pretend like, yeah, he got me in the groin. He didn't say any of that stuff. He says, "I don't know where you hit me. I just know I was hurt and I collapsed and I was tired, man." And there you go. So, what do you do with that? The only thing you can do, you can't say that Herman cheated, because the ref called it. He said, "You have 5 minutes," and Herman took it. So there you go. I would like to see that fight again. I don't think they'll book it again, because it was pretty one-sided. Even Dana White on the post-fight interview said that, Herman would have been TKO'd on that if it hadn't have been for the ref making that horrific call. And the stand-up game wasn't that close. Rodriguez had his number. So I don't know what'll happen. I don't know what'll be next for those two, but that's what happened. That was a controversy of the fight on that card. Next up, we have Andrea Lee versus Roxanne Matafari. And once again, now these two have met before. They fought in Invicta, and Roxanne Matafari beat Andrea Lee in Invicta as well. And so she was looking to do that again the second time around, and she did indeed do that. It wasn't a super exciting fight, but here's the thing, okay? Matafari is getting better. She doesn't seem to have a lot of sting on her punches. She throws a lot of punches, and she's pretty accurate with her punches. She can throw the jabs, and they connect. They connect, but there's not a lot of sting behind them. Now, can you fix that? I don't know, because this is her 48th fight. I don't know if you can fix that. I mean, at this point in the game, I don't know if you could deliver more power. I know she's been working on lifting weights and getting more bulked up and getting more power, but I think the way that she throws her punches, she's almost squared up instead of this way and using that hip. She's almost squared up when she throws punches. So, and if you throw punches like this, you're not generating a lot of power. But she was very good on the ground, and she was doing some great. That's another thing too about Matafari, in my opinion. She's really good about taking people down, but her ground and pound is not super strong, and that goes back to the overall strength of throwing punches. So, in my opinion, she's a veteran, and she's winning and losing, but she's been on a 3 or 4 fight win streak now. I think now. Oh, she lost one a little while ago. Anyway, she's doing pretty good though. She's definitely improved, vastly improved. every fight she seems to get better. And Andrea Lee, wow, you know, she came into the UFC with a lot of hype behind her. And I think the controversy that she had with her husband back in the day kind of hurt her momentum, you know, and she since got rid of him and, you know, concentrated on her career. But I think that kind of hurt her momentum. And then she's lost a few times. I think this was her third loss in a row, maybe, to Roxanne, plus second to Roxanne since Invicta. What's going to become of her? I have no idea. Did she look good? Yes, she looked good. Her stand-up game was better than Roxanne's, but Roxanne, again, she still tagged, even though there wasn't much sting behind the jab. Ground game was much better than Andrea Lee's. And so Roxanne got the unanimous decision on that one. And that was well-deserved, you know. I would just like to see Roxanne develop a little bit better pound ground. Now, one thing that I think of, because she is so nice, Roxanne's so nice, this is my own thinking, okay, that she probably didn't do a lot of ground and pound because those two are friends outside of the ring. They train together, they're friends, and so I don't think she wanted to drop, you know, heavy leather on the ground. That's what I think, but, you know, you never know. And then let's move on up to the next one. We got Ottman Azatar versus Kama Worthy. Now, this is another wrong one that I picked. I picked Kama Worthy because he's been looking so good, man, and he's just crisp, fast, and everything else. Well, here comes Ottman Azatar. And this dude, I think he's from Morocco or something like that. But this dude, holy smokes. I mean, this guy's a killer. He's like a tank, man. He's like a tiger tank in World War II. Nothing could stop this guy. They went at it right at the beginning, and it was a short fight. The fight ended by a TKO in round one, a minute and 33 seconds into the fight, and he rocked my man Worthy. He rocked him with a couple of barrages, bang, 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 and he was just trying to, his instinct, he looked like he was out on his feet, but his instinct was to keep his hands up like this because of all the training and years of training. But that Zatar just came in and he didn't waste any time. He threw some heavy bombs and he knocked my boy out. So Kama Worthy, don't hang your head. This dude was like, you know, he was like the thing from Fantastic Four, man. Made out of rocks. And what a great fight for him, though. He's somebody to be reckoned with. I'm telling you, the talent that the UFC has, holy Toledo, Batman, it's going to be crazy. All right, that was a great fight, though. Whew, short, but great. And then we come to the main event. Now, again, there was a lot of criticism. Why are you making these guys the main event? Put somebody else on the card as a main event. And so there was a lot of talk about that, but these two delivered. In fact, I think they got fight of the night. And it was a 5-round fight. And they came out from the opening bell, and the cardio on both of them is incredible because it was nonstop. In fact, I don't even think they slowed down at all in the 5th round. They may have slowed down just a little bit, but the amount of punches, I think they said they threw over 300 punches apiece. That's a lot of punches to throw in a fight. But they went back and forth. It was so close. You know, a lot of people had them 2-2 with Angela Hill winning the first 2 and Waterson winning the second 2, and then Waterson edging her out in the 5th. Hill, of course, thought she had it in the 5th. She thought she did a little bit more. But I think the ground game that Waterson had in getting Hill to the ground was probably the deciding factor in the whole fight. I think it was because she held her down for a little bit, and I think that was the deciding factor, at least in the judge's eyes. Now this one was super close. It could have went either way, and I wouldn't have said, yeah, she deserved it, or no, they robbed her, and any of that stuff. It could have went either way. It was that close. And the scorecards revealed as such. But, you know, one thing that I appreciate Dana White saying is that they both won. So because Angela Hill lost 2 in a row by split decision, she didn't lose any clout. and I think she might be, I don't know, 2 or 3 down in a row, but 2 by split decision. And the Claudia Gadelha fight, a lot of people thought that she won that fight. I'm in that camp. I think that she won it, and I would have even said by unanimous decision, because I think she beat Claudia up, but they gave it to Claudia. So, the one thing that Angela Hill said in her post-fight interview was, I need to work on my ground game. So at least she understands where her weaknesses are. She can't just stand and fight. Again, when you get to these levels, these upper levels, you got to have well-rounded game. You got to have all the tools, and even if you're not good at some of the tools, because she said, I got to get out of my comfort zone and do the ground, because she doesn't like to do the ground game. Well, now she knows, she realized, I have to do the ground game. So I need to get out of my comfort zone. And that's the way you grow. You get out of your comfort zone. Don't stay in the comfort zone. Don't think that I'm a striker and that's all you are. You need to be well-rounded, because I think when you get down on the ground, that mental thing kicks in, like, oh crap, I can't get up. And panic sets in, and then frustration. And that always throws you off your game. So get that, Angela Hill, go back and work on that ground game, get that going. Matafari, go back, get those punches, get that strength going. You need to punch harder. You gotta zero in with that knuckle on that point, and you need to start being able to sting your opponents, because it's just going to get tougher. And you've been fighting for a long time, but I think if you get that part down, you're going to be a lot better off, and your fights are going to be a lot more exciting as well. Sajira Eubanks or Julia Avila, I'm giving you the same advice. Get that ground game going, because you could not get up, and you got to get up. You got to be able to get to that fence and wall walk up. So Avila, that's my advice to you. Get that ground game going. Let's see. And I don't know. That's about all the advice I can give, because everybody else they just brought it. What a great card. And I am excited for UFC 11. Holy smokes. That card has like 15 or 16 bouts on it. So, and it's not pay-per-view. It's Covington versus Woodley. And that's going to be an amazing card. I'm so stoked for that one. So get prepared for a great pre-fight podcast from MMA, or Knuckle Sandwich MMA, because it's going to be a lot of fun. All right, you guys, I've talked enough, and I'm sorry I drug on so long, but I was so excited about this card. It was a great card. If you haven't seen it yet, go back and watch it on ESPN, because you're going to love it. And don't forget, please like and subscribe to this channel, because I'm just getting started. And I'm going to be starting to do my promotion down soon. I'm trying to get my format down, and hopefully it's entertaining for you guys. But like and subscribe and share me, okay, because I'll appreciate it. All right, you guys have a great one, and don't forget, keep punching. Keep punching. That's right.